Well, hey there, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Rate the Record podcast, episode 127. Thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Chris, as always, here in my studio, doing album reviews with you, listening to these music, reviewing the songs, reviewing the album, sharing opinions with you. That's how this whole thing usually works, so I'm glad that you decided to join me today. And if you did so, then please do me a favor to show your support. There's one thing, a bunch of things, or all the things I'm about to list that you can do to show your support for the show. Like, subscribe, rate, share, comment, and follow. 6 things right there. Quick, free, and easy to do. Every single one of them. Bunch of them, all of them, doesn't really matter. Your support matters to me. I'm very much appreciative of it. So if you would go ahead and do that, I would very much like that. Awesome. You don't have to do it right now. You can do it later if you want, in the middle of the show, at the end of the show, but just doing that in general would do a lot for me. So thank you very much if you choose to do so. And you can find all of the places to do those things over at ratetherecord.ca. That is ratetherecord.ca. All of the streaming links, all of the social media links, the album rating chart for every single episode we've ever done on the podcast can be found over there as well. And of course, the financial option to support the show. It is optional, but the option is indeed yours. The RTR Club, $3 a month. Over there, if you decide to financially support the show, you will get early access to episodes, upwards of 72 hours most of the time. Not only that, but you'll get a shout out on social media and possibly even one of the episodes that I record close to the point when you actually join the RTR Club. If you have a band, then by all means, I'm willing to review your singles. Eventually, I would like to do like a Bandcamp series on the channel, and so that way I can combine all of those things, throw them out into a video, and then give you as much exposure as I possibly can give you. And of course, just quick, free, and easy discourse with me over at the RTR Club. All of that found at ratetherecord.ca. Okay, I'm done whoring myself out. Are we good now? We good? Yeah. Because we do indeed have music to talk about today. We're looking at Queens of the Stone Age and their 2002 album, Songs for the Deaf. Now, if you've been around long enough on the podcast, you know that we've done 2 of their albums previously on the show. The Rated R was the very first one in season 1, and then I believe Air Vulgaris was season 4, maybe even season 5. My timeline of the podcast gets a little fuzzy in the later parts and everything like that, but obviously that was when there was 2 of us here. This is one of the albums I probably should have had Savannah review as well while she was here. I think this is the one that would have really kind of stuck with her a little more, as it is one of Queen's bigger albums, as I'll tell you in a minute. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but that doesn't mean that I won't cover it. I'm more than happy to do it. I've been listening to this album for a long time, and I'm sure some of you out there have as well. So I guess the very least I can do before we actually start reviewing the music is tell you a little more about the album. Songs for the Deaf is the 3rd full-length studio album by alternative and hard rock band Queens of the Stone Age. The album was released on August 27th, 2002. It was released through Interscope Records and was recorded at 3 different studios across California: The Site in San Rafael, Conway in Los Angeles, and Barefoot in Hollywood. The album was produced by band founder, vocalist, and guitarist Josh Homme, alongside Adam Casper, who has worked with other bands such as Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Foo Fighters, and many more. The album was also produced by Eric Valentine, who has worked with the likes of Joe Satriani, Third Eye Blind, Smash Mouth, and many more. Also featured in the band as of this album was Nick Oliveri on bass and vocals, Mark Lanigan of the Screaming Trees on vocals, and Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters on drums and percussion. The project also consisted of several guest musicians and collaborators such as Alan Johannes, Dean Ween of the band Ween, Natasha Schneider, Pazlan Chanton, and more. Songs for the Deaf is considered the band's greatest work to date. Metacritic has the album at an 89, with high praising scores from across the board contributing, including a 5 out of 5 stars from Uncut and AllMusic, 4 to 5 stars from Blender, The Guardian, and Q, and an A from Entertainment Weekly. Many publications have the album in their top 10 albums of 2002 list, with Kerrang even placing it at number 1. Decibel magazine even placed the album as high as number 7 on their best albums of the decade list from 2000 to 2009. The album made it onto 20 charts, with 8 of them appearing in the top 10, including number 9 in Germany and Belgium, number 7 in Australia, number 6 on the European Top 100, number 4 in the UK and Scotland, number 2 in Norway, and number 1 on the UK rock and metal charts. It went 7 times platinum in 5 different countries and Europe, and 5 times gold in 5 different countries. Songs for the Deaf spawned 3 singles: No One Knows, which went to number 1 in the US and was nominated for a Grammy, Go With The Flow, which charted at number 7 in the US and was also nominated for a Grammy, and First It Giveth. Well, there you go. If you didn't know a little more about the album, now you do, because I've offered you at least some information on it. So on the screen next to me here, you can obviously that I have it up on Spotify. There are 15 songs, but we're only reviewing 14. Let me explain very quickly. The very top song, The Real Song for the Deaf, is considered a pre-Gap song, but it was not on the original CD release. I had the original CD when it dropped, and I can tell you right now that I do not recall hearing this. It wasn't on the list, and even if there was a pre-Gap, I could not access it on anything that I had, even if I knew how to. So with that said, I will not be including The Real Song for the Deaf. So it's going to be a little bit of out of order as we go, but that's okay. So the real song number 1, which is also song number 2, I'm just going to refer to it as song number 2 and moving onwards from here, okay? Sound good? Sounds good. So song number 2, You Think I Ain't Worth a Dollar, But I Feel Like a Millionaire. Right there, song number 2. You Think I Ain't Worth a Dollar, But I Feel Like a Millionaire. Most people just call it Millionaire, and that's probably what I'll refer to it as moving forward, even when I do the song rankings. It's just a lot easier that way. I don't want to keep saying that title over and over again. Regardless, this is a song Millionaire. Good aggressive start to the album. This is what it needed. A good kick in the ass. So I like that much for it. And I love the intro bit too. I mean, like the radio dial bits happen quite frequently. They're common occurrences throughout this album, and I think they're great all around, and you'll hear them. Some of them are very brief too, but everything kind of fits. It's that whole idea of like driving down a highway, maybe like in the middle of the night or something like that, and you're just kind of dialing through the desert radio and trying to find something to listen to. So I like this whole like theme that we have going on for that, and they definitely use that imagery in like the music videos for No One Knows and the other one, Go With the Flow. That's the one. As if I could forget that weird animated music video. But regardless, more about this song. I love that the drums run more on the tom and the kick, or the toms and the kick, to really get those low ends that really do a lot to fill out the sound. I feel like if they weren't so heavily used, that the song might feel empty in some portions, which could be unfortunate, but it's got a great balance of the low ends, those kind of like high boxy guitars. Like the sound on the guitars is like just very much like small pocket amp style sound, but it works for what's going on here, and I really like it. But yeah, this one is short and sweet. Like, I mean, aside from the radio intro, this song is just like barely over 2.5 minutes long, but it's punchy, it's heavy, it's pretty much like straight to the point with some cool fillers sprinkled in between. There's not tons of substance in this song, but it's definitely not a bad song, and definitely not a bad start to the album either. So let's move forward now with song number 3, No One Knows, the big hit. I guess I'll just pause it there because I wanted to get to the radio bit. I'm going to leave in the radio bits. Song number 3, No One Knows. I said those are pretty fun just to get through. It's fine. And hey, they announced the next song before I could even get to it, but I got to talk about this one first anyways. So obviously this one, if you've even remotely heard of Queens of the Stone Age, this one's instantly recognizable and catchy. I mean, if you're looking on the screen next to me, if you're watching the video version of this, either on YouTube or Spotify, you'll see that this song currently, as me recording this, has over 498 million, getting close to 500 million streams. Tell me that's not popular. But anyways, it's instantly recognizable and catchy, so of course it is. The music video is fun too. Why the hell wouldn't it be? It's just super bouncy and fun, and it's just fun for the entire runtime of the track too, so very much appreciated to have that. And it never lets up on it, but it never really has to, because it's not like overwhelming. You don't feel like out of breath by the end of it. It's like very well paced, so there's a lot to appreciate out of that. And I do love that the chorus gets a little more aggressive too. Not that the verses are exactly soft, but the chorus definitely brings like a hell of a lot more power back to the track. So that's something you can absolutely grab onto, and it's just like a lot of fun. I've been in the crowd for Queens of the Stone Age shows, and the crowd does get pushy for the chorus of this one. I would certainly hope so. It's got that aggression and speed to it, so why not? And honestly, this song was a hell of a lot longer than I thought it was, because this feels like a 3:30 type of track, but this was 4 minutes and 38 seconds. So I guess it's kind of a good thing in a way where, you know how if you're enjoying something, time goes way too quickly? Well, I guess I enjoy the song enough, and I'm sure most people do. I enjoy the song enough that even if it feels longer, it feels shorter to me. Like, it's like, wow, it's over already. That's crazy. So maybe it's an unfortunate thing, but it is a good thing. That just means it's good. It's fine. It's fine. It's a great track. It feels so simple when you first listen to it, but then you realize so much more goes into it the more that you listen to it. I've always felt like Queens of the Stone Age is one of those bands that rewards you upon multiple listens. Not even just this album, this song, or whatever, but like multiple albums across the discography. So this is one of those rewarding tracks for sure. Speaking of which, is the next one like that. Song number 4, First to Giveth. Excellent right there. Song number 4, First to Giveth. I mean, this is such a lively and energetic track, like all the way through. And that like 3-3-2 pattern that we're kind of getting in the verses is like the perfect kind of 4/4 to keep you from feeling too comfortable, but it's very, very much enjoyable. I like it. It feels like a little different, so it's nice to have that pushing through a little more. And the bounciness of the whole song is only amplified by that chorus, because obviously the verses have a far quicker pace to them and everything like that because of that 3-3-2 pattern. But then when it goes to that straight, like almost halftime 4/4 pattern on the drums, while the guitars are still kind of like rushing through the eighth notes and everything like that, I think it really gives a huge emphasis to the strength and power of this song, which comes from how heavy it really is. It can feel heavy in those quickened part of the verses, but it just feels even heavier in the choruses. So you're definitely getting a lot more out of that. And I really, really dig that. This one is just like quick and to the point. I'm looking here. It's only 3:18. It's under average song length, so I can call it quick and to the point. It's a lot of fun, and I quite honestly think it's painfully overlooked. Now, again, if you're looking on this screen next to me here where the Spotify numbers are, you'll see that as I'm recording this, nearly 53 million people have streamed this song at least once. And so, or I don't even know how these numbers work, but regardless, almost 53 million streams. So I know those numbers look fantastic, but as compared to things like No One Knows and Go With the Flow, and even like Burn the Witch and everything, like later songs, and maybe even earlier songs too, I rarely hear people talking about this one as compared to other tracks. So all I ask is, if you're listening to this album, please show the song a little love. It absolutely deserves it. I mean, they all deserve love, but I mean, this one, I feel like it gets painfully overlooked. Alrighty then, with that, we can go on to nearly the title track, off by one entire consonant. That is Song for the Dead. God damn, what an intense track that is. That is so good. God damn. Song number 5, Song for the Dead. Like, I mean, geez, what can you say about this song? Actually, never mind. I have notes, so I can actually tell you exactly what I think about this song. But like, just the bookend of that song. Like, this is a note I have like later on in my own like little thing here I got next to the camera. Obviously, fourth wall breaking. I got notes next to the camera here, so that way I can keep track of where the hell I am. But the bookend of this track, like the bookending this track with like the beginning and end just being super goddamn fast and intense, I think is so smart, such a good choice. Like the middle kind of follows more of a halftime routine. The ends just follow this like really intense, fun, energetic, just fast, blistering pace rock riffs. I mean, like it's like only like literally 2 notes on the guitar. It's like an open string and then like a harmonic. So, I mean, there's not tons with that, but you're getting a lot from it, which is just amazing. I've always loved this song very much. It'll be curious to see where this ends up on the ranking list. You may be surprised. But now, to actually talk about the song a little more than just the bookend of it. So there's a chance of one of two things with this song. Either A, you've been a fan for a while and you're very much aware of this. Maybe you like this, maybe you don't, but you're at least aware of this song for sure. Or B, you were introduced to this song when you've seen a bunch of dudes wearing horse masks cover this song in the bathroom. I will explain it no further than that. If you know, you know. If you don't, well, then you got some homework ahead of you. So I'm going to leave that there, move on with the rest of my review for this song. Again, just fantastic intro, fantastic outro. It's so good. I feel like this would have been better suited to be the beginning of the album to like really kick your ass into it. And then like Millionaire could have come in a little later, something like that. Because then you have like Song for the Dead starting everything and then Song for the Deaf ending everything. I think it would have just been sound-wise a good bookend to the song, but then to the entire album. To have it at the beginning would have been super cool. I think that would have been great, but whatever, it's fine. I'm not going to complain about the track listing of where the song appeared. For the most part, this song has a halftime feel. I mean, again, I keep talking about the bookend being very fast and intense, but yeah, for the vast majority of the song, all the way through the middle, is more of a slower halftime pace, but it's still heavy, it's still energetic, and they're still doing some very creative things, like with the guitar bouncing back and forth through each speaker, and like the kind of ghostly singing harmonies between Josh Homme and Mark Lanegan in the background. It's super cool. And then, of course, like Lanegan's vocals on top of that are just amazing too. And yeah, like shout out to Mark Lanegan too. Like he does, I believe like 3 songs on this album that he takes like lead on. And it like, this just happens to be the most intense of the 3. But he does a fantastic job. It was so interesting that the fact that he was at once part of this band. And actually, at the point of releasing this episode, I believe it's got to be just after the point of his the 3-year death of his anniversary. 3-year anniversary of his death is what I meant to say. He died February 22nd, 2022. And if my schedule reads correctly and I can remember correctly, this comes out after that. So, wow, what timing. I did not plan it like that at all, but it's kind of a bummer. He was an immense talent. He did great things from Queens of the Stone Age, obviously Screaming Trees too, and he's done like a bunch of other projects as well, but just like he was fantastic. So I love what he's done on this album. He sounds great on this song too. It's just, this song is a good time all around. What can you say? It's fantastic. I don't want to keep gushing about this, so let's move on to song number 6. The Sky Is Fallen. Just going to pause it there, obviously, because it bleeds into the next song from the radio bit. Song number 6, The Sky Is Fallen. You know, the pacing of the song is such a good choice, too. Like, it's not too fast. And we've already had like 2 or 3 really fast songs as it is already. So it's nice to have this one in there. And also the 3/4 halftime rhythm, while the guitars like do a lot of the driving in this song. It's actually a really pleasing sound and feeling overall. So it's just kind of nice to have this here. Very much appreciated. And there's also this like light layer of slide guitar that almost feels like a whisper throughout like most of the song. And I think that's kind of a nice touch too. Now I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure there's a slide guitar in the song. It's just kind of quiet in the background, but you know what? I like it, whatever it is. I do enjoy it. It's just that a nice little texture to throw in with everything like that. Because like the harmony that it kind of creates, or at least like the counter melody or whatever you want to call it. I'm not very much a music theorist. I think it might be a counter melody, but I digress. It just accents well with those like heavier strummed verses and choruses. So it's nice to have. You get those heavier, crunchier guitars, and then you have like this smooth one just kind of running in the background. So nice little mix in there. You know what I'm saying? Now, part of me feels like this didn't need to be 6 minutes and 15 seconds. By part of me, I mean a lot of me. Now, technically, it's 5.5 minutes for the music, and then you have a radio bit at the end there that goes on for about like 45-ish seconds or so. I mean, 5.5 minutes in a Queens of the Stone Age song, there's not even like too much of a jam incorporated into it. And like, you know, a jam's not just like a brief little bridge. I'm talking like, you know, a jam that goes on for like a minute or 2 type deal. And that doesn't have it. Because then I remind myself of a song from Rated R Better Living Through Chemistry, where there was a huge jam in that song, and like I think that time was used perfectly. This one just kind of felt like it stretched. Probably didn't need to. It could have been like around 4.5 minutes for the music alone. That would have been fine, condensed overall. At the very least, the radio bit, again, just kind of adds a little more comedic value. Not that the radio bits are adding or taking away points from this particular review, but at the same time, just the song itself, good. Probably a little too long, longer than it needed to be, but, I don't have too many complaints. It's not my favorite on the album, but at the same time, I don't hate it. So there you go. Short one coming up next, song number 7, 6 Shooter. And that's it right there. Very, very short song. Song number 7, 6 Shooter. 1 minute 19 seconds is all it is. That's it. It's a really short, aggressive, messy sounding song. It definitely has something of a punkier edge to it. But it still doesn't quite feel like it, but it's damn near right there. And I mean, Nick Oliveri screaming obviously adds a lot to that. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like a shorter track. It's all right. It's just kind of like a pass by kind of track, interlude. It's fun enough, but there's not really a lot here, and it's kind of flat towards the end. So just like, yeah, I don't think you're meant to take away too much from this one, but it does break my heart that this has more streams than Song for the Deaf, I should say, the track number 14 there on the list. We'll get to that when we get to that, but yeah, whatever. This one's just an interlude. What can I say? There's not a lot to it. There's not much substance to it. So we can move right on to song number 8, Hanging Tree. Right there. Song number 8, Hanging Tree. Sorry, when I see the green text on the screen there, I'm like, oh, that's the song where I'm at. No. It skipped ahead to the next one. We're on song number 8, Hanging Tree right now. One of the shortest songs on the album for sure. I mean, it's only 3 minutes and 6 seconds long, but I mean, it's a pretty damn decent track if you ask me. I mean, the mood of this track almost feels like it changes up the entire album. And that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Like, I like what it's going for. It sounds great. And a lot of that comes from, once again, Mark Lanigan, like, complimenting his voice and everything like that. That low, gravelly, like, haunting style of vocals that he has in this song is just so suited and so fitting. And then also Josh's harmonies on top of that, especially in the chorus, also have that ghostly quality to them. So, I mean, it's really quite beautiful in the end when you think about it and you go back and listen to it. It's just, everything works. It feels very chilling, but I really, really like it. I mean, with that said, though, the pace is still quite lively. And I mean, as much as it flows so well and it kind of feels pretty smooth for the most part, it's still quite punchy too. So it's like an excellent balance of kind of both sounds that you're getting. And I mean, like, other than that, there's not a whole lot more to say about it. Again, 3 minutes and 6 seconds. It breezes by pretty quickly, but like a lot about this composition works so well. I'm not a huge fan of like towards the end of the bridge towards the end, just feels like a bit messy and like incomplete, but everything else about the song I do really like. So I dig it. It's fine. I think I myself underappreciate this song, but I guess I can also see why I don't have it higher than I probably should. I don't know. We're going to find out about that score a little later, but for now, we're going to move on to song number 9, Go With The Flow. A little more radio surfing brings us to the next song, but we'll wait for that one. Song number 9, Go With The Flow. I mean, this has to be the most energetic single for sure off of this album in particular. I mean, it's just a constant frenzy, like a fast pace, like throughout the entire song from beginning to end, which is fine considering that the song is just over 3 minutes long. As a matter of fact, it's 1 second longer than Hanging Tree. So it's 3 minutes and 7 seconds. So just to get that like biting pace all the way through and just kind of clear it out without really any filler at all. It's like verse, chorus, boom, done. I mean, so it's just everything works about it. It's really good. I mean, there's a lot to like about this song, but I mean, an absolute shout out to the absolutely enduring piano, like essentially just like going eighth notes on that F octave chord for like nearly the entire song, practically nonstop from beginning to end. And I'm assuming that's one of Natasha Schneider's contributions. She at the very least played it live. Like I've seen Queens of Stone Age live a few times, and she was at least in one or two of those performances. So like I've seen her do it, and it just like just eighth notes, crazy eighth notes, just nonstop. Like even when you've been doing it for long enough that it's kind of just muscle memory, at the same time it's just like, God, like just doing this for like 5 seconds kills my forearms. I mean, I couldn't imagine just doing that in the studio forever or live on a tour for that matter. And I should mention too, Natasha Schneider, another former member of Queens of the Stone Age, who unfortunately passed away as well, like Mark Lanigan did. She passed away from cancer not too long ago. Unfortunately, I don't have the date off the top of my head. I apologize, but yeah, it was unfortunate to hear that too, because she seemed very nice, immensely talented, and she obviously had some great contributions to this band, to music in general, and seeing her live was a treat too. She was very much professional, knew what the hell she was doing, sounded great when she was doing it. So yeah, if that's her on the piano in this song, I mean, kudos, goddamn, like you have forearms of steel. So I can absolutely respect that. But yeah, like this one's absolutely fun to dance to. Like you have no soul at all if you're sitting still to this one. Like I don't know how the hell you can. It's impossible. With that said, we move on to song number 10, Gonna Leave You. Alrighty then, song number 10, Gonna Leave You. So I've been listening to this album for at least 2 decades. Like I wasn't listening to it like upon release, but at least 2 decades at the point of 2025 I've been listening to this album. I've always thought that this song feels like a weird like high school band type of track, like one of those ones that like a group of 15-year-olds are like jamming on in a basement, and it's just like a plain whatever kind of track. Like this one would have never have sold me on the band or album if this is the one I was introduced to. Like I would have been like, nah, it's not for me. I'm just not there with it. I don't know. But I know this is like another Oliveri led song as well. And aside from Millionaire, I'm just not huge on his leads on this album. And I believe we have one more coming up. So we can talk about that when we get there at the very least. I will say at the very least, though, that all the harmonies do like so much more for this track. So it does make it more palatable in that regard. But other than that, like, I don't know. It's short and sweet. I can say that much because once again, we get like another one, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. It's pretty damn short. It's very generic and flat though, like with its progression, even compared to any other song on the album. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's certainly not one of my favorite tracks on the album. I can say that comfortably. So with that said, we can now move on to song number 11, Do It Again. Pausing it right there, obviously bleeding into the next track. Song number 11, Do It Again. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the timing of this song is a little deceptive because if you look on the screen next to me here, or if you're following along and like listening to it at home as well, it says 4 minutes and 4 seconds. While it's about like, what, a minute or so, it's like less than 3 minutes of music or so. So it's like more than a minute of just radio bits, which is fine, whatever. I mean, you're still just flipping through the radio stations and they're all entertaining in their own regard too. So I don't really have any complaints about that, but yeah, still like, you don't think this song, you don't think it was going to be so short, but it really is. So there you go. There's not too much to take in. The composition of this song feels so strategic to have audience participation to it, because I mean, like, you have those like hey chants that happen throughout the entire song. Dun, 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 hey, dun, 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 hey. You got those. And when you don't have those, you have those guitar bends that kind of like mimic that. So it's definitely like encouraging that anticipation. So I can definitely dig that. I think it's a lot of fun. Something about this song on that kind of note too, feels like so commercial friendly or meant to be like an arena sporting event type of track to kind of get the crowd going. And maybe the song has been, I don't know, because I mean, like, I don't follow absolutely every team, so I couldn't really tell you. But I mean, like, the beat, the pace, the participation, all of it's there to be part of a sporting event or a commercial of some sort. So I wouldn't be surprised if it had been licensed out to a team, a brand, I don't know, but it's definitely got to be out there somewhere. I don't know. It's still a decent track though. I mean, like, it's heavy, it's engaging, it's simple, like everything that you would need to be catchy. It's personally not one of my favorites on the album, but with that said, it's definitely not a bad track, so I can give it that much. Like, I do enjoy it. Not one I go back to often, but I don't mind listening to it. I will say that much. So we just heard a priest on the radio there talk about God and wanting some hallelujahs. Well, God is in the Radio is song number 12. Let's do it. I'll just pause it there before it goes to the next song. Song number 12. Yes, God is in the Radio. It's just a bit of a little bit of a haunting ending there, just a little bit of ominous, but it doesn't really properly bleed over into the next song. Maybe it does. I don't know. Just the way the song made me feel. It's just so weird to have the next one come up. We'll talk about that in a minute though. This one though, God is in the Radio. Again, it's another one of those moodier tracks that's led by Mark Lanigan. And just, I don't know, there's just something about the way that they do these tracks and with the way with him singing, just like, it always works. But it's still like very much lively and fun, just has that darker tinge to it. So I'm very much enjoying it. I like how Lanigan's vocals, and I can say this too, like, if you know his vocals, like, they're always gravelly. They've always been like lower gravelly and everything like that. That's just kind of his style. But like, I love that gristled texture to them, and especially in a song like this, because it gives the track more of like a southern God-fearing type of feeling to the track, as it should, because that's kind of the theme of the entire thing. So his vocals fit on this far better than Josh could have done. So I very much appreciate Mark taking the lead on this one. And like, he probably even wrote the lyrics too. So it's just like completely like a hymn type of song. And that quieter section too that comes up, that gets a little creepy too, but I definitely dig it because it goes with like the rest of the entire song and like the mood and feeling of it. And there are some backward lyrics going on. There's definitely some backward singing. You did not hear that wrong if you're listening closely enough. Definitely the work of the devil, just like, you know, the song might indicate, or something along the lines of that. I do have them written down. It says, I'm right behind you, watching you, look over your left shoulder, the bottom window, you're inside my hands. That's what's being said backwards, very, very quietly in this song. So if you felt compelled to do anything, like looking over your shoulder, you know why. But yeah, apparently the song is more about like, you know, the satanic panic that happened like in the 80s and maybe even to the early 90s and everything like that. And the song essentially, I should say, shows how God is indeed the music and the devil is actually the people condemning the music. Like, they are the evil ones taking away like what a lot of people tend to worship, i.e. music. So it's a good like little subversion of expectations there. I dig the message. The song is really great. For some reason, it's always been one of those ones that I've never focused too much on in the past, and I don't know why, because the more I listen to it, especially as I've been aging, I like it even more. So yeah, you know what? All for it. Really like it. Great job on this song. So now we move on to song number 13, another love song.
Stupid to realize yourselves.
I know I cut off in the middle of a conversation, or not so much a conversation, a monologue there, but it quite literally begins the next song, so I have to pause it there. Song number 13, another love song. So quite honestly, yeah, this is I've already kind of like technically spoiled this prior, but this is like another Oliveri track that I'm just not all that into. I mean, maybe it's the instrumentals, maybe it's the vocals, maybe it's the lyrics. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's a combination of all of those things. But something about this one has always just felt very cheesy, and I've never really been a big fan of this song at all. Like if I'm gonna skip like a song on this album, I'm more likely to skip this one, which is crazy to me that has 13 million streams. But at the same time, obviously people have differing opinions, and that's great. So if they like it, if you like it, I'm happy for you. I'm great. By all means, please keep listening to it, enjoy it, support it, do whatever you need to. I mean, it's catchy, but just like, I don't know. It honestly feels like it doesn't hold a candle to like literally anything else on this album. So I don't really know what to say about it. It's just, I don't really like much about it personally. So that's where I can kind of leave it. And it's not even that long too. How long is it? It's 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It's really not that long, but it's one of those songs where you can like, I don't know, kind of feel every second of it ticking by. You know how I already made the note where it's like if you're really enjoying something, time just flies and you don't even realize how long it's been? I could look at this, like the time bar down on Spotify here, like once every 30 seconds and hope that it's been at least a minute, but it hasn't. That's kind of how I was with this one. Sorry, not sorry, just wasn't a huge fan of it, but we're getting closer to the end. Now, this is the true bookend of the album here because Mosquito Song is actually technically a hidden track on the original album, but they count it as its own track on here, which is fine. And I'm going to count that one towards the score as well because it is a fully fleshed out song. But the real bookend to the album right here, song number 14, the title track itself, Song for the Dead.
A song for the deaf that is for you.
There's that voice. Okay. I'm gonna pause it there. It's fine. I could just pause it there. It's fine because then it goes into silence after that. That's just like a hidden weird like little thing, and I'll talk about that in a second. It's fine. Song number 14, the real bookend to this album. Song for the Deaf, obviously title track, closes it out, all good. Mosquito Song is technically a hidden track, as I already mentioned prior to this one. So I can say like this is an excellent capper to the album in all technicality here. It's dark, it's aggressive, it's fun. It's kind of bluesy in those choruses too, which I can really dig, especially because like, you know, Queens of the Stone Age is kind of considered desert rock, especially in their older music, like back when they were doing like desert session stuff, like before Queens was actually a thing. There was desert sessions, Caius, so Josh Homme definitely had like, you know, that Western desert feel to a lot of his music there, and just you can definitely feel it in this one. I think it's fantastic. You can feel it all over the album, but like in this, there's something about this one that I just definitely felt it a lot more in. I love the high and low harmonies in those courses too, between Lanigan and Homme once again, and they're just absolutely knocking it out of the park. It's like, it's so goddamn good. It's like the best possible way to compose those harmonies, and just, it sounds amazing. Just, I can't get over it. I love it every single time. Never gotten sick of it after all these years. The guitar work is top notch in this entire track, dude, like all the way through. It's like the work throughout the verses is like such an incredibly like addicting and fun riff to listen to. Like the earlier verses, and even in the later one when it's kind of going up and down all over the place. I really like those too. A lot of fun. Can you tell this song gets me a little excitable? I've always felt this way. And like the bridging solos are fantastic too. I mean, like it's not over the top. It keeps that pulse pumping. I mean, like everything about this track just fits so goddamn well. Like Christ, Chris, why don't you tell us how you really feel about the song? Okay, I will. That's why I have a podcast. Anyways, it's just an amazing song. It really is. I truly adore it. And also, not including this particular part into the score, I should say. But as you can kind of hear that like last little bit where I cut off the song, shout out to the 2-year-old reprise of Feel Good Hit of the Summer from their 2000 album Rated R. It just pops up secretly at the end of the track. They just kind of play the riff a little bit and just laugh along to it. Like, I don't even know why they did it. It's funny though. And it's a good wraparound to the very first Queens of the Stone Age album that we did here on the show. So there you go. That works. The first Queens of the Stone Age album done on the show, this one being solo, whereas the other two we did was that was like literally two of us doing it. So yeah, a good little tie in there, I suppose. But with that said, we're at the end of Songs for the Deaf. Obviously a very monumental album in their career. They've had some excellent work since then, but I don't think anything's ever touched the commercial popularity of this particular album. There's a lot of fantastic songs on this. Has a lot of sorry, almost kind of burped there. It has a lot of fan appeal to it, and you can see why in nearly every single track on this one. So you know why it's been rated so highly. It's platinum on charts and everything like that, and just nearly won Grammys. You can see why. It's a fantastic album. So I'm gonna go ahead, finally take off these headphones, cutting back in now because I just realized, oops, I'm not done. As much as I said that was the bookend of the album, it's not. As I said, Mosquito Song counts, and look at this, Spotify came back. Isn't that wonderful? Anyways, we have to go to the final song. It's, again, technically a hidden track. They made it a separate one on this one. That's fine, we can do this. So, song number 15, Mosquito Song. All right, and I could probably stop it there too. So song number 15, the hidden track, the end of the album, I guess, that I finally got it right. Mosquito Song. Yeah, like even on the original CD that I bought like a long time ago, like this wasn't listed on the album. Like Songs for the Deaf was just like 12 or 13 minutes long, but then because you had Mosquito Song at the end of it too. So yeah, interesting to have it though. It's kind of nice to have something of like an unplugged track though. I mean, again, it's technically a hidden track, but being unplugged, sounding kind of different from the entirety of the album. It does stand well on its own at 5 minutes and 38 seconds. It uses the entire thing, and it gets a little different as you go through it too. Very interesting kind of feeling to it. And it's funny with this one too, because like Josh literally name drops the name of the next album in the first chorus. And so I guess that's my sign to be like, maybe it makes enough sense that I should eventually cover that album on the show as well. And I mean, I will eventually. I don't know when, but I will. Because my rule usually for the most time, my rule has been one band per season, so you can't do multiple bands in one season. I know last season I did Nine Inch Nails twice. There was 2 reasons for that, and they were both anniversary reasons, so that's the reason why I did it. It was just, and also I really like Nine Inch Nails, the one band I'm very biased with. But anyways, I digress. I mean, just, I'll do Lullabies eventually. I do like that album. I've owned it. I have it on vinyl, actually. I don't have this one on vinyl for some reason, but I have that one. So, I don't know. I enjoy it. We'll talk about that one. That eventually comes. Anyways, more about this song. There's a 12-string guitar in the song that I really, really like. I think it's a great touch to the song, a great texture overall, too. Because, I mean, like, a regular 6-string acoustic could have done the trick, I think. But, like, the 12 filled out that sound so beautifully, and it just sounds so rich. Like, I really, really like it. It was a wonderful choice to add, especially with everything else on this album, how punchy and heavy and just kind of like Western desert stoner rock that this album was. I wouldn't really put this one in stoner category, but I mean, but still, like, it's that Queens of the Stone Age sound that you know. So this song was kind of a nice touch to have as a quieter little thing to it as well. But yeah, going back for a second though, speaking of Lullabies to Paralyze, there's like a marching band horns towards the end of this song. It just sounds like you're hearing something like March Through the Desert and everything like that. And it reminds me a lot of the teaser that happens at the end of Lullabies to Paralyze, the song Long Slow Goodbye. And then you get this like kind of quiet little marching band thing, kind of smoky, distant background. It doesn't even feel real. It turned out to be a teaser for the song Running Joke that appeared on Era Vulgaris. Jesus Christ, this chain just keeps building and building, doesn't it? But anyways, I like the horns here. I think it sounds great. It kind of gives that hot desert, like delirious kind of feeling to it. Like you're hallucinating the desert, you're dehydrated, and just like you think you see this marching band just going by and you're laying in the sand dying like, oh, wow. Like you don't even know what the hell's going on. I don't know what I'm doing with that either. But I mean, it matches the mood of the album. I dig it. I love it a lot. And yeah. So I guess that's where I can probably end this though. Mosquito Song's very interesting. So now we can end the album. I can take these phones off finally, properly. And I can also get rid of Spotify off the screen. Toodaloo. And now bring the numbers back. There you are. I'm sorry about last time. I know that was kind of a pain in the ass. That was my bad. I forgot Mosquito Song. But at least this time I actually brought it in and didn't have to do a weird re-recording like I did with the Rob Zombie episode last season. That was awkward. Anyways, 14 through 1, because again, the real Song for the Deaf, song number 1 that appeared on Spotify, I'm not counting. It wasn't technically an original album track. I don't care about that pre-gap stuff. Doesn't count, blah, 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 whatever. 14 through 1. Which ones were the favorites to least, favorites not so great to great, preferred to least, preferred, however you cut the cake. Please go ahead into the drawer over there, get the big cake cutting knife and cut slices, please, because we have people waiting for cake. Don't worry about me, I'm diabetic, but other people want cake. They want to hear it, so go ahead and hand out those slices. I'm going to hand out mine now, though, because I think that's what I kind of need to do with this podcast, right? So let's get started before I waste any more time, which I know I've wasted plenty already. So here we go. 14, Another Love Song. 13, Six Shooter. 12, Gonna Leave You. 11, Do It Again. 10, The Sky Is Fallen. 9, Millionaire. I'm not doing the whole title. 8, Hanging Tree. 7, Mosquito Song. 6, No One Knows. 5, Song for the Dead. 4, God Is in the Radio. 3, First It Giveth. Oh, who's going to get the silver? Who's going to get the gold? Silver goes to Go With the Flow. And of course, the one that technically caps the album, song number 1, Song for the Deaf, the title track. How could that not be? It is the most interesting, exciting, like in-depth song on the entire album. It's so good. Oh my God. And it's also a very dark tinged song too. And I love it. Maybe that's my bias. I don't know, but it's a good song. It really, really is. Okay, those are my song rankings. Those can leave the screen now, and then you come over here. Yep, rate the record. Okay, cool. The words are here. That means I can now officially rate the record. That's what it's time for. It's time to rate the record. So, you know what I feel about the songs? How do I feel about the album as a whole? Well, you saw the scores. You saw there's 14 songs, and you saw that there was a low end to that list too. I mean, like, again, those Oliveri songs just weren't super doing it for me. I don't know. Maybe I feel bad, maybe I don't. But regardless, we have another B+ album this season on the podcast, sitting at a 76.78%, just barely into the B+ tier. There are fantastic songs in this, but then the ones I didn't like that much dragged it down a bit. I know the song has high praise. I mean, this album has high praise, and I technically do highly praise it, but you want my score? That's going to be my score, 76.78%. And now, with that confusion behind us, yeah, you can take off. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for your service. Graphic on the screen that I add after editing, and there's actually nothing here sitting next to me. Anyways, with this confusion out of the way, we are officially done with episode 127. So thank you very much for joining me today, hanging out and listening to this album. And if you did indeed listen to this album with me, please, I beg you, let me know down in the comments below of wherever you're watching or listening to this, how you felt about this album. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you agree with or disagree with me? How would you rate the songs? How would you rate the record? Anything you want to talk about with this album, down in the comments of wherever you're listening to, please go ahead and let me know. Very curious, because I just sat here for nearly an hour, told you my opinions. So the very least I can do is read yours in the comment section. I'm very, very happy to do so. Trust me. So go ahead, do that. Very happy to hear it. Look forward to seeing it too. And don't forget the other places that you can go ahead and look for these types of things, where you can like, subscribe, follow, and leave your comments and everything like that, is ratetherecord.ca. That is ratetherecord.ca. Once again, streaming links, social media links, the album rating chart, which Queens of the Stone Age, Song for the Deaf, will now appear somewhere in the B tier of that particular list. And of course, the RTR Club, if you want to financially support the show. Okay, I am done with this episode now. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you again next week for episode 128. There's probably an NMR coming out this week, so keep your eye out for that. So until any of that happens, go listen to more awesome music, and I will see you again real soon. Take care, friends.